Here we're going to be taking a look at another Transformers Studio Series figure. With the Studio Series Transformers Dark of the Moon, Wheeljack, parentheses Q, as it says on the box, Wheeljack, parentheses Q. In the movie, his name was actually Q. They never said the name Wheeljack. That's the character he's based on, but more into that later. But yeah, this figure has been waiting to take my money for a while. It's been out in the stores for a while. Well, just wasn't really all that eager to get it. Q wasn't exactly one of my favorite characters from the Bayformers films. Dark of the Moon was the only film he was in. He had a decent little role in terms of providing weapons and gadgets for the Autobots and the humans. But it's just kind of an ugly character, and not exactly a character that held a whole lot of notable action and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I could go without that. Especially with this being a deluxe figure, paying, what is it, like $25 for a character I didn't really even like all that much, or at least aesthetically anyway. No thank you. But saw it for a pretty decent sale where it was only $15. I was like, you know what, for that, sure, why not, to add to my Transformers Studio Series collection. So here we have Q, again, box says Wheeljack. Wheeljack is a character he was based on. It was kind of another inventor type character. Didn't have this whole weird old Albert Einstein kind of look to him. But we see that we have him. Here's the box and packaging as he appeared in the movie. Had the kind of Albert Einstein type head. You see that, the nice CGI rendering of him. He actually never had an official render come out for him when Dark of the Moon came out, like some of the other characters from the movie, like Sentinel and all the other guys. Transformers Studio Series, Dark of the Moon, Wheeljack, Q. Kind of more of the side of him right there. On the side, you get another kind of look at the close-up rendering. It was a very nice rendering, but man, that is one ugly face. Oh my goodness. And this is kind of a little screenshot from the movie, the scene where he introduces himself in the nest base. And then the description, Wheeljack Q uses his skills as a scientist to create gear for the Autobots. Short and to the point, like I said. Oh, and then you got more of a kind of a look of him right there. His Mercedes-Benz alt mode. There's been a few Mercedes in the Transformers films. He was a blue Mercedes. And we see him actually with some okay weaponry. He's got a little kind of minigun type thing and this like staff. You saw that kind of stuff with him in the movie in some of the shots, but he never actually used any kind of weapons in any scene. He gave people weapons in a few scenes, and you see kind of more of that where he's got kind of like an artillery unit on his chest. I guess just a bunch of gadgets and things like that. So yeah, that description uses his skills as a scientist to create gear for the Autobots. Saw that in a few scenes in the movies. First scene where he's introduced, where he's giving the new gun to Ironhide. A notable scene where he's giving the weapons to the humans, the Sam and all of them, the bombs and all that. And I like to think he was the one that provided the upgrades to all the guys, like for Optimus, like upgrading, giving him that trailer with the weapons and just all the other Autobot upgrades we saw in the movie. So enough about that in terms of that character. So let's go ahead and open this up. Just got to take the tape out right here. There we go. And we can preserve the box. Just slide him on open. And there we have Q with essentially it looks like everything is right there. The staff. I wonder where that little mini gun that he has. It doesn't look like there's anything else in the box besides whatever this is. Just some warning labels. See, everything for him is right here. It's probably in this thing, whatever this is. So he's strapped down. Let's cut these off, like so. Get the ones by his ankles. We'll take out the staff afterwards. But first, we have the basic figure right here. Feels pretty good for a deluxe. I have a notable deluxe Autobot figure from the Studio Series line that feels really kind of flimsy and light. This at least feels, it feels like it's got some decent girth to it. But we see that is Q, and like all Studio Series figures, pretty much all of them, they do a really good job in recreating the look of the character and making it, just doing a good job just in terms of robot mode accuracy, making it look like how he does in the movie, and probably the best way you could do for a figure like this. The problem is, if you don't like the look of the character from the movie, well, if you get this, then yeah, that is one ugly looking robot. The whole Albert Einstein thing they had going on there, which I always wonder, if you're going to base the character off Wheeljack, who was a beloved G1 character, an inventor type character, just give him a style head that looked like that. You can make that head, Michael Bayify it and whatever, but have the basic kind of aesthetic with the kind of crazy horizontal ears and all that. I mean, this Albert Einstein thing, whatever. But as far as replicating that, they did a really good job. You see the middle of it, they got some great detail as far as his different, whatever these are, just kind of gadgets and things dangling on him, on the chest, the belly area, on the side. The guy is absolutely loaded with stuff. These little side pieces don't move up and down. They're stable, just kind of stuck going in that direction. But then, yeah, just a whole bunch of gadgets and things like that. They did a good job as far as replicating the look. You look at the front, the front side is basically just a pure robot figure right there, with the only notable vehicle thing you can see is the sides right here, which in the robot mode, that's accurate as far as like those headlight pieces and wheels being kind of on his shoulder type area. But we haven't turned it around. We'll see how much vehicle kibble is on the back. And that's a very interesting kind of look, where you see how these doors, the whole thing is just kind of really inverted and going downwards like that. Not uncommon though, obviously, for your figures like this with the Bayformers designs, where a lot of them, the robot mode is just kind of slapped on the backside. But I get it. If you can give me an accurate looking robot from the front side, that's really what matters. But as far as articulation, got everything you need. Decent up and down head swivel, elbow swivel. You can not move the hands in any kind of direction. Fingers not articulated. Waist swivel or hip waist swivel, no. But your legs got basically everything you need. They bend not a crazy amount. It's okay for what it is. And then your feet up and down a little bit, not really much to the side. But you're not really going to be doing a whole lot of dynamic poses with this guy. Not really kind of your action type character, who's there as mainly a support type character in the scenes that he's in. That doesn't mean you don't get some weaponry with him. You got two things in here. Let's open up this one. I'm pretty sure this would be like his little whatever minigun thing that was in the artwork that we saw. Let me check that out. Why it's wrapped like this, I have no idea. If it's not the minigun, I don't know what the hell this is. And we have the... Yep, it's the minigun. Why the hell it's wrapped like this, I have no idea. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I've never seen anything wrapped like that before. So this is... it's not the best looking weapon, and he didn't really ever use anything like this in the movies. He didn't really have any kind of weapon that he used. But let's try to stick it in his hand. Who knows, maybe it's not even a weapon. It's like some kind of like inventor kit thing. I don't know, special glue gun. So you just put it in like this, because he can't articulate his fingers. That doesn't look the smoothest. It's just really just right there at the top of his thumb right there, but I guess there's only so much work they put into a deluxe like this. I mean, whatever, kind of gets the job done. Kind of curious with the packaging. Does it look like that? If I noticed it. I mean, that's how the packaging makes it seem like. Looks a lot better in the packaging. Actually, the whole figure looks better just because of the coloring. Oh, wow. Actually, I'm glad I took this out. The coloring on this one just looks so much cooler. Not surprising because this is the package art they use. The paint apps just look a lot better. See, just more of maybe a darker gray that they went with for the main body and head. This light gray, not super fond of that. So paint apps on this, because I remember when I got the box, I was like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. But you look at this actually as it is, and paint apps could be the darker paint would have looked a lot better. But anyways, we got the gun there, fine, whatever. Also comes with the staff thing. Again, never used that or any of this stuff in the movie. It was really just there for show. Alright, so this one, well, I know it can probably go on his back because that's how it was in the movie, I believe. Let's make him hold it first. So to hold it, you just kind of do the same thing where you take that tab and you would just kind of slide it in like this, I guess. There we go. Yeah, this is a really weird weapon. Some kind of weird staff thing or whatever. It doesn't really look like a gun. It's just kind of weird, not really all that intimidating. So I'd rather just have this and put it on his backside, like how you see it in the movie. Now, how do you do that? Well, let's see if we can find some tabs. It looks like, yeah, you could probably just use this thing, I guess, like that. Stick it in here. Hopefully, put it in this tab right here. Like that. I mean, it doesn't really super seem like how it's supposed to be in the movie. I think it's supposed to be more of like a horizontal type thing. Maybe if you do it like this. No, that doesn't look good either. Because otherwise, I don't know really where the other tabs on this thing would be. Such a unique backside with how this is done, how these doors are just kind of going down in kind of parallel fashion like that. Yeah, the only thing I can think of would be how you take this and then can maybe do it like that. But again, I think it's supposed to be more of a, see, I can't even get it in now. I think it's supposed to be more of like a horizontal type thing. So I wanted to get it right, so I pulled out the instructions to see how exactly do you put this in. This is our transformation instructions, transforms in 23 steps, I believe. But looking for the weapon storage, you see that it is kind of how I thought from the movie, where it goes kind of more into his backside, or it goes more in like a horizontal or diagonal kind of way, but centered. So you use this little tab right here, where you take this part, this tab, you can kind of pin it in there. And then that gives it, oops, a little bit more. There we go. And it's still not going. Like maybe this one. Oh, okay. So you put it not in the center one, but the tab that's on the very right you can, and then that's a lot more sturdy in giving it that kind of look that you see in, you know, some scenes here and there. And then you can also take the gun thing and then, let's see, and then you just can tab that right there. So that's pretty, oops. Like so. At least that's how the instructions made it seem, because you can't really go into it the other way. Yeah, it should be like that. Oh boy, things just falling apart. I mean, whatever. Bottom line, it's got some kind of weapon storage. So let's just keep this staff thing on here for now. And then you can even, here you can hold your gun or whatever. Actually, no, I want to see if I can get this. Yeah, this should be able to fit in easy peasy, like that. Not the most exciting part of the video, I know. I want to get this right. Just push it in like this. There we go. You just really gotta push it in there. And then you can slide up all of his weapon storage like that. It's probably a better display, honestly. Like I said, if you want to go for movie accuracy, he never was really holding any kind of weapons to my knowledge in any scenes that he was in. So there you go. So there's Q, like that. Kind of a show off his robot mode and the features. Now, to have some fun, of course, you want to do some size comparisons, show him off with some of his other fellow Autobots. If you can stand up, the staff does make him a little bit back heavy. There we go. And now for those aforementioned size comparisons. So, some other deluxes that I got. Here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee. This isn't Bumblebee from Dark of the Moon. This is Bumblebee from the first movie, but you know, character still around the same size. This is actually not quite what I was expecting size-wise, because Bumblebee is noticeably taller than him. Now, granted, we didn't really see Bumblebee and him had the obvious scene together in Chicago when Q is, spoiler alert, even though it's been how many years? What is it? 15 years now since Dark of the Moon when Q died. Didn't really seem like the size comparison was quite like this, because Bumblebee is noticeably taller than Q. That's a bit surprising. I was expecting the scale to be a little bit more even, whether Bumblebee is supposed to be smaller or Q is supposed to be taller. I don't know. It's kind of tough to tell because we never really saw Q stand up side by side with any of the Autobots. The scene these two were in, you know, they were down on one knees with the Decepticons, you know, having them at their mercy. So interesting, around, you know, typical deluxe scale for both of these guys, but I'm surprised how much taller that Bumblebee is than Q. Brings me to another deluxe I want to bring out. We got Bumblebee, we got Q, also have Sideswipe. We also saw Sideswipe and Q. Actually, you know what? I take that back. There was a scene standing up between Q and Sideswipe in Dark of the Moon, where Sideswipe is telling him to hurry up. It's right during the scene where he's giving the humans the gadgets. This guy just does not want to stand up. Jesus Christ. The staff just makes him so back heavy. Alright, so there you have Sideswipe. It's tough to get Sideswipe to kind of stand up well, you see how he's got kind of the whole backwards, bent kind of knees thing going on. It's tough to get him to stand up all the way. It's about as much as you can get. But Sideswipe is a smaller figure, smaller Autobot. You see, even he's actually the size is about the same, and that would be about right based on what was seen in that scene between the two. So this scale is actually pretty good. So maybe, I guess that would make sense. If Q was around the same size as Sideswipe, then Bumblebee would be taller than both of them. So that scale actually ends up working pretty okay. So that's actually not bad. So I guess, I don't know why I had in my mind that Q was supposed to, or Bumblebee and Q were around the same size, but that looks pretty good as far as size accuracy. Some of the Autobots, the car Autobots that you see in Transformers Dark of the Moon. We have some Autobots. And then the last deluxe, we're going to take a size comparison look at him next to Dark of the Moon Soundwave. who, of course, you can kind of get that scene where those Decepticons are holding the Autobots hostage during the whole Chicago battle. Of course, it would have been a better comparison if I had a Barricade figure, because Barricade was the one that actually was pushing Q along to his death when he shot him. But Soundwave was in that scene too, the same scene I'm talking about with Bumblebee. So that's how that size comparison would be. I would imagine that this size scale works pretty well. I imagine that if you wanted accuracy, Barricade would be around the same size. Soundwave's a little bit taller from the looks of this, but this scale works pretty well. Both of these characters actually Mercedes-Benz characters. So here are your two Dark of the Moon Mercedes-Benz Autobots and Autobot and Decepticon, respectively. So cool little show off right there. Then one more, just to show him next to a different scale figure. You have him as a deluxe, and here's him next to Leader Optimus. So from Dark of the Moon. Like I said, from Dark of the Moon, I like to think that Q is the one that provides the weapons and upgrades to the Autobots. So I'd like to think that he was the one that gave Optimus the whole, upgraded jet thing that he can pull out of his trailer. And these two actually do have a scene. It was in that rocket scene where we see a shot with Q right next to Optimus. And, Optimus should be obviously a super noticeably taller figure and look. So again, this scale, pretty accurate as well. And then actually that brings me to one more I almost forgot about. The first time we see Q, the first Autobot that we see him with is Ironhide. First scene we see him in, he's doing the thing where he's providing the new weapon to Ironhide, one of his new guns that he carries on his backside. He tells him it's his perfect invention, so you can kind of replicate that scene. You see how much bigger Ironhide's gun is than Q. If you want to do that scene, if I can get him to hold it. Oh boy. Want to hold it? There we go. So yeah, there you can go. That opening scene with those two, telling him it's his perfect invention. And Ironhide is obviously going to be a lot bigger than Q. So this scale is actually pretty damn perfect. So scale-wise, like other Studio Series figures, they do a great job in kind of replicating the scale that the characters would be in with each other, whether Autobots or Decepticons. Very nice indeed. So that really does it for showing off this guy. As with my other Transformers reviews, transforming these things isn't really my thing. I don't really care to transform them in terms of who the hell has these guys displayed in their vehicle mode. But as far as replicating the robot mode, I think they did a good job with this. Q's not the most exciting character, but they did a good job in giving him all the features to make him really represent that character. Whether or not you consider that a good or bad thing is up to you, because he's not really that good looking a character. So in that respect, I think they did a good job with this. I think the paint apps, like looking at that box, paint apps just look so much better in terms of the coloring. Really makes it feel more just sharper, more movie-like, whereas these paint apps just make it look kind of cheap, and that is disappointing. Would I recommend this? Man, well, I'd only recommend it if you're really looking to complete your Studio Series collection. All the other figures that I showed off are way better. Now, granted, those are more exciting characters, no doubt, so they do have that going for him. Q, he had an okay little role in Dark of the Moon, so if you want to complete your collection, fine, but this is not a figure that's going to excite you in a whole lot of ways, whether it's the actual look of the character, some of the features he comes with, it's just kind of there, so it's not surprising that eventually this figure went on discount, because I'm sure not a lot of people were getting it. So there's my recommendation or non-recommendation, because, Didn't really think it's that exciting a figure, but at least I have another Autobot to add to my Studio Series collection. So that'll do it for this review of Q. If you made it to the end of this review, thank you for watching.